Thank you for joining the third and the last day of our International AD UiTM Fashion webinar. Withstanding COVID-19, Digitalizing Fashion Landscape and Education on the 6th of August 2020. My name is Mohammad Zharin Hariz, and I will be the moderator for this webinar session. The agenda for today starts off with an opening speech from the Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Design, UiTM Malaysia, Professor T.S. Dr. Ruslan Abdul Rahim. Unfortunately, due to some unforeseen circumstances, he could not join us today. On behalf of the Dean, our own Head of Study Center for Design and Senior Lecturer, Dr. Hariz, will be giving the opening speech. Soon after, our session will be followed by our webinar session is in the form of an online forum. The forum will be in the form of I, as the moderator, will ask a series of questions to be answered by each panelist. Beforehand, I would like to mention of a slight change in our lineup of panelists, as Ms. Melinda Looi is unable to join us this morning. She is represented by Mr. Dirk Loibert on behalf of Moda. A brief intro of our panelists. Mr. Dirk Loibert is the Group Chief Executive Officer at Melinda Looi and is currently Executive Advisor at Malaysia Official Designer Association, or Moda for short. Moda is a not-for-profit organization that capitalizes the collective talents of the fashion industry to enable sustainable growth and strengthen Malaysian fashion in the global fashion economy. Representing the facade of fashion education is Mr. Muhammad Faizal bin Hamid, a well-known force behind the many successful Malaysian designers. He is a senior lecturer from UiTM Malaysia who focuses on fashion design, fashion communication, and styling. Our third panelist is Mr. Dodi Muhammad, a renowned fashion publicist. In between managing Tradisi Busana PR, a recognized fashion PR service and fashion show production company which he founded, Dodi is the main driver of KL Fashion Weekend and KL Alta Moda, as well as coordinating many major fashion-related events and being producer to multiple fashion shows in Kuala Lumpur. Last but not least, we have Mr. Ali Karisma, Chairman of Indonesian Fashion Chamber. His position as President of the Bali branch of Indonesian Fashion Designer Association involved actively developing Indonesia as an important Asian base for international fashion business, and he has represented the association at international exhibitions in Dubai and Madrid. For those who could not join us through the Google Meet, you can view this webinar session through our live stream on YouTube using the link provided. We will round off our webinar session for today with a Q&A session. For those who would like to inquire our presenters, please drop your questions in the link provided and also in the Google Meet comment section. Without further ado, let us begin our session. Presenting Dr. Hariz, Head of Study Center for Design, for our opening speech.
Hello, good morning. I would like to welcome everyone here to the International AD UiTM Fashion Webinar with the title that we have been discussing for the last 2 days, Withstanding COVID-19, Digitalizing Fashion Landscape and Education. I especially would like to welcome our colleagues from other faculties of UiTM, lecturers and students of Universitas Negeri Malang, as well as those from other art institutions, our esteemed guests from Indonesia, Mr. Ali Karisma, Mr. Dodi Muhammad, fashion publicist from Malaysia, and Mr. Dirk Loibert, Executive Advisor of Moda. Good morning and a very warm welcome to every one of you. I am very pleased that you have accepted our invitation and decided to join us in this webinar. My name is Hariz, the Head of Study Center for Design Department. Actually, the Dean should open the webinar, but unfortunately, he has something else in the academic board, so he is unable to make it today. About this time last year, we had our end semester degree show at Central ICT in Shah Alam. But this year, due to the pandemic, everything has to change. Degree shows, exhibitions, CEO talks, seminars, and all are going online. We have to follow rules and procedures to keep everyone safe. Our normal practice in education has also changed. We have to course our path from norms to the new norms. We have to tune ourselves from digital immigrants to becoming the digital natives. For the past 2 days, we have listened to how the academicians had taken challenges of non-conventional methods in teaching and learning in both UiTM and Universitas Negeri Malang. Hence, to end our last day of webinar, we invited these experts of the fashion industry to be part of academia to share their views and experience during the pandemic. I hope our guests here could also suggest to us of how and what to expect next in the future fashion landscape and academics. Last but not least, I would like to thank and congratulate Madam Princess, Head of Fashion Department, and her team as the organizer of this webinar for their hard work and successfully conducted this event within a short time. It is even more challenging because I know they are in the middle of the final project assessment. With that, I would like to hand over this mic, or shall I say, hand over the screen to our moderator, Mr. Zharin, and let us proceed with the forum. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Faizal, for the opening speech. Now, for the inside look of the fashion industry, let us begin the forum. The first question for the panels: the fashion industry itself has shifted in response to COVID-19. When did you first witness the impact of COVID-19 and what has been your experience? Mr. Dodi Muhammad, can you please elaborate? Sorry, Mr. Dodi, your mic is muted.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, Dodi, yes.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, the whole pandemic is so unexpected, and it was quite unfortunate for me, actually. You know, I spent almost more than 6 months in London last year planning things for this year, and then everything has to be put on hold because of COVID-19. It was quite a major sort of setback for me. It's almost ruined me. It's almost sort of like, you know, actually destroyed me. But then I actually felt the whole thing right at the beginning of the actual pandemic. When it started in China, it was like, you know, I was already feeling it, and then by March, April, my team in London decided to kind of to put everything on hold. So it was as I said, you know, it was a major sort of what do you call it, catastrophe for life, really. But then you know, I can't just sort of like, you know, sit back and sort of what do you call it, feel the grief, whatever. I have to do something about my life. So now I have to kind of really adapt with whatever's happening and try to sort of what do you call it, try to make my best, really make the best of everything, and live with trying to embrace the actual situation and well, live with it. Really.
Right, thank you, Mr. Dodi.
Yeah.
It is true that fashion PR is the worst affected because fashion shows all around the world are on hold, and
Yes.
even digital fashion shows are
Yes.
going on full force right now. So getting your insight is quite good right now because everyone is in total chaos, especially it was very unexpected.
Yeah.
Alright, moving on. in terms of fashion education, what is your thought on this matter, Mr. Faizal?
Well, I think, in terms of education, of course, everything now has been digitized, and everything has been online, which is a great change. I think, everything was moving that way anyway, before COVID-19, and when COVID-19 happened, everything. I mean, it makes it more real. I mean, it makes it more sort of, what do you call it? It makes it more practical to go online, and I think it would save a lot of cost, if education carries on that way, and also make education a lot more accessible to everyone, if education is to be online. But of course, certain aspect of it still has to be sort of, what do you call it, offline. But the major part of it, as we can see now, every what do you call it, every expert in education now is trying their best, or his or her best, to kind of adapt to the current situation, and adapt to the what do you call it, the current need. So I applaud them. I mean, everybody is sort of working very hard to make sense of the whole thing, and because everything the whole pandemic came as a shock to everyone. But I'm glad that people are still staying calm and try to do their best.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dodi.
Yeah.
We have Mr. Faizal for his insight. Again, let me have like a bit of an input. Fashion is all about adapting, and we are always changing, and this is actually a good way to adapt and change to the whole pandemic. Mr. Faizal, what is your input in terms of education?
Assalamualaikum and very good morning to everyone. Since the onslaught of COVID-19, the fashion industry has gone into a state of shock. Revenues have slumped, boutiques have shut down, and production stalled. With the sense of uncertainty of travel across the industry, the current situation is particularly precarious for fashion students faced with a hazard of graduating into a dwindling economy. And in my opinion, currently both fashion educators and fashion students feel the need to radically rethink their approach to the fashion industry and change their ways of teaching, studying, and creating. In the past few months, the majority of fashion schools the world over have embraced online teaching tools. Most of the semester, we absolutely cannot go back to the university. It's not an option. But despite the readiness to adapt to new normal and embrace digital educational methods, there is still some anxiety about what this means for the future of fashion educations. The truth is, fashion education cannot take place online. Actually, you need to feel the texture. Fashion is all about neutrality. Across the industry, educators agree. Teaching online has worked for certain classes and certain projects. For some others, the ones that involve physical designs and discussing fabrics, seam, shapes, it is hard and sometimes impossible. And then for fashion school, teaching online is a novel format, but both promising and intimidating in equal parts. In the near future, I think the challenge would be to combine the online and offline educational methods. In education, as all in areas of life, the crisis has revealed a lot of existing inequalities among students. My opinion, now more than ever, fashion education seems to be out of reach for those who rely on school equipment to finish their collections or on odd jobs to sustain themselves. Back to you, Mr. Moderator.
All right, thank you, Mr. Faizal. Mr. Dirt, can I have your input from the business standpoint as the group CEO of Melinda Looi, and also as the executive advisor of Malaysian Official Designer Association, or Moda for short? What is your input on this matter?
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you so much for having me and for having Moda. I'm here to represent Miss Melinda Looi, who is our president at the Malaysian Official Designer Association, and I'm happy to share my views. I believe your first question was about how has COVID-19 affected. And for us who are running fashion businesses, the first thing we felt was a supply problem, because obviously China being one of the major suppliers in this world, and they closing down, caused a bit of turmoil with regards to would we get our Raya collection in time, would things work out in time, and so on. And then in March only, with the start of the MCO, then we experienced a demand problem from our consumers in Malaysia, which we feel very strongly up to date. Dodi has mentioned how he has been affected with his events, and I think it's similar for fashion brands like ours who are specialized in occasion wear. Would it be wedding? Would it be special events? There's occasion where people want to dress up to, and that completely fall away, and that massively affected fashion company like ours who are not providing this clothing anymore. There's some winners in the fashion segment. I'm sure you all heard of them, the yoga clothing manufacturers, the Astley leisure manufacturers, and so on. But of course, this segment of the market is now extremely saturated with a lot of competition because everybody wants to get that their foot into this. Yeah, with regards to education, to be honest, I'm not an expert in education. However, from an observer, I would say the biggest challenge would not be to get all these courses online. I think the biggest challenge would be to change the teaching method, because I remember when I went to school, it was first a chalkboard in elementary school. Later it was a projector, then it was a slide projector. You know, the technology was used, but the system of teaching was always the same. You sit in a row, you look at the front, you consume the content, and you maybe ask a question. But I think now with what internet can do, I think we might have to rethinking the model of not just sitting there and consuming the content front on, but there's much more interaction and possible. But again, I'm not an education expert, but I would love to see what education can do to make it much more exciting and interactive for students. Yeah, does it answer your question?
Yes, actually, it's very comprehensive. All right. Okay. Moving on to Mr. Ali Karisma. Can I have your input on how Indonesia is coping in terms of, again, I'll repeat the question. When did you first witness the impact of COVID-19, and what has been your experience? Ms. Ali?
Yeah. Hi, good morning, everyone. Yes, regarding your questions, in Indonesia, we experienced this COVID-19 a little bit late, like later than Singapore or Malaysia. Probably we realized, probably on the late January, we are still very relaxed in Indonesia. It seemed nothing. We do business as usual. Nothing changed, but we know there is a COVID-19 affects Italy and Singapore, also China in that time. But as a chairman of association, I actually already start gathering my members and my team to discuss about this. What happened if this is just very early state for us. But of course, after in March, Indonesia is the same like any other country. Even probably some people think it's worse, but it's actually it's not it's bad, but it's as bad as I thought gonna be. This is I think I answer your question.
Yes, thank you. I believe even in Malaysia, we have the same effect as the first impact. We actually felt the full lockdown was in March, actually. News of COVID-19 was already hitting all the news channel in January. So we went full lockdown in March, and it affects everyone, I believe. All right, and on to the second question. When things went into lockdown, how prepared was your team? Mr. Dodi, can you please go first? I'm sorry, Mr. Dodi, you are muted right now.
Hello, yeah, sorry. What's it again? Sorry, you were saying?
All right, okay. I'll repeat the question.
Yeah.
When things went into lockdown, how
Yeah.
prepared was your team? Since we can't really move around, we have to be online all the time because we can't go out.
Yeah, I well, I just had to live with it, right? Everybody does, but you know, I wasn't all that prepared, but it's a whole new experience. It was quite daunting, but then, because everything we have to, we've experienced the place has been shut down, but we have to actually to stay indoor and not doing anything. So I had to make the best of whatever I could do. So I just spent time really reflecting on things and also, trying to figure out what I need to do to survive, really. So it has been really difficult. But after a couple of weeks, I kind of get used to it. And then I suppose, you know, um, as I said, I just had to live with it, and then I did a lot of meditation as well and all that, and catching up on a lot of work that all the proposals, and hoping that things will get better. Um, but well, thankfully things are starting to get better now. So I actually make use of that sort of quiet moment to kind of, as I said, to really reflect on the whole thing, even my whole life. I think if not because of COVID-19, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So there is some sort of, what do you call it? There's all. I believe that there is a light at the end of the tunnel anyway. So I just had to kind of prepare myself for things to get better. So I just have to be positive and just remain positive, even though it was quite. As I said to you, as I mentioned earlier, things got really, really bad for me. But anyway, I just have to reflect and stay positive, and so I didn't sort of what do you call it? I try not to let whatever bad thoughts affect me. So I still continued working, and even though I was on my own, even though I thought things might not change, but I just had to carry on and just make the best of the quiet time that I had. Okay.
Right.
Anyway.
Thank you for the input. I believe it was a point for the world to pause actually during the lockdown because everyone
Yes.
had to stop. I agree with
Yes.
the point because at that point everyone had to stop and really reflect on what
Yeah.
and how to adapt to the change.
Yeah.
Really,
I actually appreciated that moment. Looking back, it was actually a very fruitful moment. Even though um, we weren't sure, and nobody was sure what's going to happen, but the actual sort of need to reflect and also what do you call it, introspect and look into yourself, and I find more of myself, and so the self-reflecting, whatever you call it, or introspection was very beneficial. So if we had not experienced a lockdown, I don't think I would have gone that deep into myself.
all right. Thank you, Mr. Dodi. All right,
Yeah.
Mr. Faizal. Again, when things went into lockdown, how prepared was your team?
Well, although the pandemic has caused unprecedented distress, despair, and uncertainty, hopefully it may pave way for positive change and new opportunities for teaching. We are braving these challenges the very best that we can every single day. Arguably, the crisis has compelled educators and students to ruminate on the future and think outside the box. Now it feels like the right time to start a discussion on so many issues at so many levels. As a number of key industry players clamor for change, it is the fashion schools and universities that could become the incubators for creative experimentation. I believe that fashion education will never be the same again. The role of technology was already quite big and will become even bigger within fashion education in general. The possibilities of virtual design are really enormous. I think it offers a way out of this crisis and into the future.
All right, thank you, Mr. Faizal. Again, fashion is always adapting, and we were very abruptly interrupted, and we have to adapt to change. So education is always the key. This is how we start and how we change the world from here on. Thank you. Mr. Dod, in terms of fashion business, what is your point? What is your elaboration in terms of how preparedness was the key?
We were not prepared. I mean, yes, we had our e-commerce websites and we did these things before, but we were totally not prepared for this. So that's why we spent our MCO not in front of Netflix, but working very hard and finding solutions and new ways to face this when it comes to assortment or when it comes to platforms and overall strategy. So it was, I think I never worked as hard as in the last couple of months, to be honest. And the team as well.
Thank you. Mr. Ali Charisma, again with the second question. When things went into lockdown, how prepared was your team?
Yes, we actually prepared enough to understand that, with this situation, because before we really can feel in Indonesia, we already learned from the China and Italy and other countries, of course, and then we are actually prepared enough. So I gather all my members. I just want to let you know, our association, we have like around 300 members, and there is a lot more of Indonesia Fashion Chamber community, which is they are not members. So we have a local conference to prepare for them, that to understand the most important in the meaning, the real meaning of life. Like what we do here. Are we chasing only the money, the business, or we do other things? So this is what we do on the first thing. In that time it will be, I think it's early, late February. We do this meeting, and we should understand that what is the most important in our life. So this way we prepare for the worst. After that, we know that we have to prepare for the worst. When our mindset is ready for that, then we can think clear. Nothing is more important than the health on the beginning. So we know that. So we have to take care of ourselves and become healthy. And then when we do that, we can think a little bit more clear rather than panics and do messing around with the business and all become more messier than it should be. So this is what we do, and what I'm doing to my members and also the fashion community in Indonesia. And there is because of that, there is a few or some designer are over prepared. They're so worried about the businesses it's going down for them, and they do a lot of things differently, more careful, and they become their business even better than before COVID, because we are prepared. Some of the brand are doing really, really well for this. Of course, in general, it's not good, but this is what I'm talking about. Just our preparation to adapt with COVID in that time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ali. I believe for all of us, it was a time for a pause and to reset. to think about how we have to move forward, because at the end of the day, we need to understand why are we doing this and for what are we doing this actually. All right, okay. Moving on to Mr. Dodi, how would you predict on how fashion event management will be moving forward in the future, given all the current circumstances? I'm sorry, Mr. Dodi, you are muted.
Sorry,
Please. This
anyway,
is a new normal.
can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, great. Anyway, nowadays I think, well, I discussed with my team. We have to be sort of what to call it. The whatever we do now, the online element has got to be a major part of whatever we do. So even when we do events, we well, this is what we've not done anything just yet, and since the lockdown. But we are planning a few things at the moment. But as we have to prepare for the worst, we at the moment we have to look into the online part of whatever we do. But anyway, in a sense, it might be better because it could reach a lot wider audience. But at the same time, it's something that we have to experiment, something that we are not used to, and but we have to sort of. It becomes a necessity rather than an option. That's how we look at things at the moment. Even fashion shows at the moment, we cannot sort of just rely on what to call it, the immediate audience, but we also look at the platforms for online audience. So that's how we look at things at the moment. We can't go back to our traditional way of doing things anymore.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dodi. I agree, because right now everyone is shifting, because in terms of fashion publicists, everything is always supposed to be events and so on. And the pandemic has suddenly put a halt to everything, and everything changed immediately. So I'm looking forward to what you're having planned ahead. Honestly, the landscape of fashion is drastically changing, and because of this, I believe you will flourish further from here.
Yes, of course. I mean, with the help of the advancement of technology, and everybody sort of like doing their best to kind of improve whatever we have at the moment. So I hope by then everything that is virtual become more real rather than just virtually virtual. Whatever. Yeah. Anyway, I have to excuse myself at the moment because I have a shoot at 10:30. I'm actually at Kunang Kunang at the moment. In Datuk Razwan Razwil's resort. I came here to perform for Tuanku Masuri Selangor, and then now today I have to do a follow-up shoot. So anyway, I'll have to go to leave this for a while, and maybe after the shoot I'll come back. Yeah, I'll join you guys again after the shoot. Can I? Yeah, can I excuse myself?
Okay, it's okay. Right. Thank you very much for your episode. Right.
Okay, all right.
See you if you're joining later.
Sure. Yeah. Okay then. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Moving on, we'll go into the third question for everyone for the panelists. In the days and weeks following lockdown, what decisions and changes did you have to make, and why? Mr. Faizal, can you please go first?
Okay. At our fashion department here at UiTM, one of our main concerns is our students. It is a very difficult time financially and emotionally for them. With the lockdown in place since March, our students have to abandon work that they had started in their workshop and start from scratch at home. And now they have to take classes through Google Meet, Google Classroom, WhatsApp, and so on. Fortunately, lecturers are working incredibly hard to ensure all students have the appropriate tools and resources to carry on their studies in the comfort of their own homes. We are having online classes and video tutorials with each student every week, and we are providing audio and presentation notes for them as well. While we acknowledge that students won't have access to all equipments and facilities at this difficult time, we are working around the clock to we are working around the clock to provide all of our students with the support and guidance they need. Students log into online classes in the same way they would attend a lesson in person. We train our students to be agile, responsive, adaptable. Courses aren't just about learning industry skills. They also help students to understand how to cope in a dynamic environment or when faced with the unexpected.
All right,
Back to you.
for the input. I believe all the lecturers have to work even harder, 24 hours a day, because students are always free now. They don't really follow our own timetable, and I agree with that notion. Okay, Mr. Deb, again, a question is, what decisions and changes did you have to make and why?
I think the why is really the uncertainty. I mean, we are living in unprecedented times. We wouldn't know what happens next month, next half year. You hear different things, whether from China or from research institution, but honestly, nobody really knows. And because of these uncertainties, for us, we have done three things. First, we did what every company, I think, did, and look at our cost and try to reduce our cost where we can. I mean, we renegotiate rentals. We looked at where we can save HR costs. We looked at reusing materials as opposed to buying new materials. And, we basically try to reduce our costs where we can. The second thing was something which you see pretty much everybody in the industry doing, and that was looking for quick wins. For example, we did, like everyone else, we did the face mask. We have maybe some more casual collections, which are more suitable for the consumer staying at home. You saw big players like Zalora and Fashion Valley. All of a sudden, they were selling hand sanitizer and mask and random things like that. You would have never ever expected them to sell this kind of things. But everybody needed to do something because the usual product wouldn't sell anymore. Consumers weren't interesting. But I consider this all a quick win, because while some might last, I do think that the most important is actually the third thing we are doing right now, is to really set us up for new growth, for new business models, and for new revenue channels. And that's what we're doing right now. I cannot share with you exactly what we're doing. It's a long process, and we started 2 months ago, and I think it's another 2-3 months to go until we can roll out the first of the two. But I think that's very important to not hope that things will come back to normal, but work on a plan B going forward, and that's what we're doing right now.
But thank you for your input. I believe we need to understand the changing of our target market, because the landscape is changing drastically. People are prioritizing things instead of clothing and so on. They have things that they need to buy and save instead of buying things unnecessary to them. But I believe adapting to this change is good, as it will improvise our business models. Okay, and to Mr. Dirt, we have another question for you. What is Moda's plan in bringing the best out of Malaysia's fashion designers in facing this pandemic in terms of survival in fashion business?
Good question. Not an easy answer. As Moda, we have been around almost 30 years. Actually, it's our 30 years anniversary, and we're having big plans for a gala and whatever, which of course is all cancelled. Earlier on during the pandemic, Moda did something under the leadership of Melinda, Looi, which was to actually go all in on charity and produce PPEs for frontliners. So we realized the most important thing in this moment was to help people be safe. So we put a lot of our planning, which we did for Moda and for the designers, we put it on hold, because we thought, okay, this is really the most important thing right now. And a roadmap of things which we have up to 2022 was actually pushed back. However, now as things are normalizing and we have delivered, I think, over 160,000 PPEs, we are now slowly picking up on the activities which Moda is doing for the industry. So Moda is not just building awareness, but also educating and connecting fashion in Malaysia and regionally. Like, for example, Ali, is a very good friend. We are in different similar calls and similar panels where we talk about what can be done, and it's great to have this kind of sharing internationally, which we bring back to Malaysia. And also we want to do more education, so we might be in contact with you all as well on that. So ultimately to push forward the Malaysian fashion agenda. However, I need to say something. We are an NGO and all our members are volunteers. So all our members are massively affected by the current situation, and they're struggling with their businesses. So it's quite amazing to see what they do for Moda on their free time, even though they are struggling themselves with their businesses. So I always tell everybody, yes, we'll do a lot, but please have a bit of patience with us because all our members have multiple hands full at the moment. But as I see it, we will see 3 or 4 activities coming later this year. I think in the next month or so we will be announcing them, so stay tuned. We'll put it all out there.
All right, thank you. On behalf of the whole country, actually, I would like to say thank you to Moda and every single one who took part in the PPE preparations, because without you, we wouldn't have control, at least contain this virus at this moment. Right. Okay, Mr.
Thank you so much, but I think there were so many other people who did an amazing job, so I think we did our part. Especially the praise to Melinda, who organized all this, and I saw her working on it 24 hours literally. So yeah, a lot of volunteers as well. It was quite amazing to see that.
Yes, it's quite daunting to see how everyone banded together and really help each other in any ways that they can. All right, thank you. All right, to Mr. Ali Karisma, again, sorry, back to the question. What decisions and changes did you have to make and why?
Okay, Zharin, thank you for the time. What we do is learn what is changed in that days. You know what is the lifestyle change, what people are doing, and try to understand what has been changed in Indonesia, especially. You know, because I'm sure we are affected with the same virus, but absolutely the effect will be different between Indonesia and Malaysia. So in in Indonesia, we look and we on the beginning we try to understand, and what we do is we rethink. We ask the brand or the designer to rethink or to look again about the DNA brand, to adjust the situation, you know. So as Dirk mentioned earlier, everybody doing other thing and on. So doing that, we hope we can respond to the lifestyle changing, what people need, and still so we don't go directly like changing industry to go food industry or something like that. No, we ask the brand to look back or look again the DNA brand and to adjust them according to the changing. Of course, there is a lot of action doing we do about this, but the most important we do, I think, is we decide the collaboration or between industry is more important than ever. So in this time, we think, you know, between fashion industry and other industry is very important to survive, to collaborate, to survive in this pandemic time. So actually, we do many things, changing in the way personal life and the way we do the business. So the changing, of course, is all different, but in general, we change the switch to the product that we can sell fast in that time. What kind of fashion product that we can sell quickly in this days? What people need. I think is that the answer from me.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ali. I love the fact that you touch on collaboration, because in these trying times, everyone needs to band together and think of ways to integrate all our knowledge together and band together to fight this pandemic. All right. A question for you, Mr. Ali. Indonesian's fashion scene seems to be unstoppable despite this pandemic. How do you foresee the changes that we are facing now, such as going online, will change Indonesian fashion scene?
Yes, we do actually. We plan, especially in my association, is we actually not we on the beginning we're not sure if we gonna do any fashion platform for the marketing like fashion event this year, but finally we decide how we gonna do the marketing strategy. And our decision is, of course, online marketing and all of that. But we try to understand how can we help the selling for the brand. So everything we do, whether they are education or event or anything, but our aim or our goal is to help direct impact to the sale. So it doesn't matter how important or how small or how big the event is. Our measurement is this event will impact the sale of the brand, the people who are join or doing this event or education, wherever is it. Our goal is on the sale. It's actually direct sale. So that's what we do. And now we have a lot of event, online event, and soon we will have a lot of like show trade, like exhibition virtual for minimum 3 months, something like that. Because virtual you cannot do just like 2 or 3 days or something like that. But we're working with a marketplace, and we collaborate with the different media who have a crowd, and we try to make some product that everybody need at the moment. The situation is I don't think this is the normal for this time. We believe it's normal now. It's not. It will never come back to before. So I think we try to be active as possible, because if we stop doing something, I think, or waiting doing something, there will be never a right time. You don't do anything waiting for the right time, because there is no right time. So I think we everybody has to move. So the business and the life change. Of course, we have to be careful with the procedure and regulation of COVID-19. Of course, everybody still have to be very careful with this, and we need to go on with life, I think. Thank you.
Agree. Life has to go on.
Yes.
Right, thank you. Moving on to our fourth question. According to the changes you've made, what would you say was the most difficult decision to make? Mr. Faizal, can you please answer this first?
Okay, in my opinion, open and distance learning has some major setbacks, at least for our fashion design course. The reinvention of teaching and the combined pressure of online delivery and student support through the pandemic have put pressure not only for students but also on academics and their teaching. Digital solution can be helpful, allowing students to access course material and have seminars. However, if the student do not have access to technology, this can pose a problem, especially for those who live in remote areas. We also should credit the students for their tenacious approach to the situation and for their continued efforts to develop creative work under these conditions. I think we have adapted incredibly quickly, and students have been superb and very resourceful. It helps that the work of fashion designer isn't just a creative one, but one of being a pragmatic problem solver. The students are having to adapt in real time, much like the industry itself. that they are part of, generating new ways of working that will be adopted by the industry they are about to enter. And again, whatever the challenges, we just need to find creative solutions for it and make it work. That's the only way to move forward to these extraordinary circumstances. Back to you, Zharin.
All right, thank you for the answer. Mr. Faizal, just to pick your brain, in terms of the pandemic and online teaching, how has the senior academics adapt to the new technology so that they are still seen relevant amid the disruptive environment of the digital age?
Again, we just need to make it work, Zharin. We just need to evolve, to be current and relevant. I think that's about it, as simple as that, that's the way to move forward. We've got to be proactive in a way.
All right, thank you. Because just to, not really to toot your horn, but it was quite amazing to see how you change and how you fast adapt to the change and how you manage to change the way you teach your class, especially your fashion illustration, in terms of how you change the mode from face-to-face interaction to online. Kudos to you.
Yeah, again, we got to be creative. We just need to find, again, as I mentioned just now, you got to find creative solutions for it. Make it work, make it interesting, and then I think it works, inshallah.
Inshallah. All right. So to Mr. Dirt, again with a question. Right.
More difficult decision you were asking, right?
Yeah, sorry.
No worries. Obviously with a shift in business plan and product offering and the change in consumer demand, we had to come to the point where we had to make some personal changes, and that was and is always the hardest. It took us a long time. We waited a long time, but we ultimately had to come to the point where we also had to let go of some stuff, which is a very hard thing to do, especially if these people didn't do anything wrong. It's just that the market changed, and for certain services and things there were actually no need anymore. So that was a tough thing to do.
All right, thank you. Itu Mr. Ali Karisma. Again, the question: what would you say was the most difficult decision to make in terms of the
for my own company, I think for my own company in that time, I still have a lot of work to do, and the most difficult decision is whether I ask them keep working or not, because what happened if some of them got affected of a virus or something like that. This is because I want to let you know that my team and my employees remain the same since then, and they keep working, and I'm thankfully we got more project with this. So this one is I think it worries me a lot in that time whether I make a right decision to ask them to keep working or they should working from home, because it's very difficult for my work to do it from home. They need to work at the office. So what we do is we actually we have a lot of space, so we do a lot of distance, of course, that's the first thing, and now we clean all our place, and this one all detail, small detail that we have to do, and finally we decide together, not just me, to make decision to for them to keep working. First thing I ask is to my employee what they think about if they have to work at the office. So we finally decide together that we keep working. This is my my worry about decision to make. But in terms of association, we of course, there is a lot of bad news also from a friend, especially the people who have a bigger size, like 500 employee up. This one is very, very hard to adapt to the situation. So we help them, and we do many decisions that we not really exactly know what we're doing actually. But some of them is all new experience, and there of course a lot of mistake we do, but at least we try to do something. So this decision, or this suggestion to the brand that need help, this is also the most we are worried about whether we do right thing or wrong thing. Until now, then we realize most of the decision we do is it was okay. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. It is true. Those who are in the mass production and factories are worstly affected. But at the end of the day, we need to change and adapt. All right. To Mr. Dirk and to Mr. Ali, the GIG economy or gig economy is contributing the business growth in today's world. How does Moda and Indonesian Fashion Chamber plays a vital role, like offering reskilling, upskilling, cross-skilling to the fashion designers?
Yes.
Do you want to take it first, or me, or?
Please go ahead first.
You go first. Anyone first. It's okay.
Okay. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, we have actually since Melinda Looi took over the presidency for Moda, we have actually worked out a 3-year plan as to what we want to do for the Malaysian fashion industry, and education is I would say at the core of it, and that involves all of the things you mentioned, from upskilling to education to cross-scaling. However, we will take it in small steps. Again, we are volunteer-driven. We have no government giving us money. We have no funding. We are reliant on sponsorship and volunteers. So we will be taking it one step at a time. And again, like Ali said, we are banking heavily on collaborations. Collaborations could be with universities like yourself. Collaboration could be with private companies, could be with other industries. It could be events-based, whether online or offline. So we're exploring into various things. We will need a bit more time to restructure us after this COVID and our PPE activities. But there will be things coming. They're in the making right now.
I'm really looking forward to your plans. Mr. Ali, what
Yes.
is your opinion on this matter?
Yes, what we do is actually I just add on what Dirk says is we do a lot of meetings. We don't know day or night. We do many discussions via online, Zoom or other platform, and we do sometimes 3 or 4 times a day, different panel, different group. Is on the beginning, it just so we feel like that we are needed as much as education and learning, also as a moral support to each other, and make us a little bit more calm and understand the situations. That time, we invite a lot of expert guests to speak to our forum, and also we do a lot of workshop. And actually, this is ironically, I will say, part of it is positive. This situation, because the people who do well in the all normal ways, which is we think what they do is what I think is people doing nothing can be successful in that time, but now you have to do something that more match and ready and prepare in many ways to be survive, to be in the creative industry. So in a way, there is a lot of improvement on Indonesian brand that what they have to do during the COVID or to prepare afterward, 2020 and so on, So this is we do a lot of background checking on our on the brands, like whether they have to really change their DNA or we just improve a little bit, and we will ask the people who are successful in the business during this time to share their strategy and knowledge to the other brand. This is it happen almost every day and sometimes so many times. Thank you.
Right. It's amazing to see how both associations are taking a hands-on approach to combat this matter. All right, moving on. In relating to the previous question in regard to your decision, is there anything you would like to have done differently now that you think about it in this moment? Okay, Faizal, can you please go first?
All right. As for me, good or bad, I always believe that everything happened for a reason. We just need to relearn, reinvent, rethink and go with everything. We just need to focus on finding solution. More like on solution oriented. And I really think that moving forward is definitely the way to go. Move forward, be proactive, be optimistic. We got to have that in us, for us to survive in any obstacles, in my opinion.
All right, thank you. Yes, again, adaptability and moving forward. Mr. Dirk, what is your take on this matter?
Maybe we could have acted. Maybe we could have acted a bit faster. I mean, we have been working on all the solutions, and it's sometimes hard if you don't know what the future brings, and you have done certain things a certain way in the past, and to really go on that new path. So I think certain implementations, whether it's a product or change in activities, we could have done a month earlier. Every single one of them we're doing now, which we could have done a month earlier, which would have given us a bit of advantage. But we were slightly careful, maybe too careful.
Agreed, because at the end of the day, we need to restructure everything, and yes, everything needs to change abruptly. So everyone needs to be hands-on to everything. To Mr. Ali, again the question: is there anything you would like to have done differently?
Actually, exactly the same like what Doug said. We just wish we can react earlier or prepare earlier to adjust. But yes, of course, there is many things, because now some of the decision we make is we know, this was not supposed to be like this and that. That is detailed, but overall, I think no. We just I think also because government rule or regulation is affecting all our process. So we wish that the government also more prepare and to more fast enough to make regulation about whether they should lock down or no, whether the government regulation is very important. And I think what I regret is they should act much earlier than us. Thank you.
Yes, I do agree that the government plays a vital role as they act as a guideline for us in moving forward. All right, on to the next question. Social distancing laws are starting to relax. How have things started to change again in light of this? Mr. Faizal, can you please go first?
Okay, we know that this will not be an easy road with social distancing measures in place and many students not coming back for their courses. Next term, they will almost certainly still be social distancing. Therefore, we are probably going to be obliged to keep some blended learning. On a more positive note, a lot of the teams are saying that they want to do it. We are getting more engagement from students who otherwise were not engaging. We are getting more democratic discourse to the chat options as students feel empowered by not having to put their hand up in the public space. And then we are finding students collecting after classes online and doing more peer learning. And then we are inventing new ways of looking at work and of discussing work. In times of crisis, there is an opportunity, I believe. What this has done is force us to reconsider some of our standard practices.
All
Back
right.
to you, Zharin.
All right, thank you. Regarding to the standard practices, I agree to that because students now, they not only does the lecturers have to, not just the educators have to adapt, the students have to adapt to the change. And we can see that those who have been left behind before this are now catching up very fast because they have seen that they can actually move faster now because everything is digital and they are more free to explore all the options. Right, thank you for your input. Mr. Dirk, on to you.
Yeah, actually with social distancing being relaxed, actually, I did see a small pickup in demand. So people are consuming more, buying more things because they are out and about and they need things because they go for meetings or they see people. So I saw a little bit of a pickup there, both for masks as well as apparels. In terms of work life, I think it's still similar than before. I mean, we still have certain staff who work from home, continue to work from home because also their kids are still not back to school. So that is still not a normal yet. So I think once that goes back to normal, we'll see another shift. So yeah, there will be a couple more changes coming, impacts, and then we have to just make the best out of it.
All right, thank you. The paradigm shift can be seen, but it's not too drastic right now. Agreed. Mr. Ali Karisma, what's your take on this matter, especially in Indonesia?
Yep. This is. Can you repeat the question?
All right. Again, social distancing laws are starting to relax. How have things started to change again in light of this?
I think yes, in Indonesia, it start opening everywhere, but I think through community, I think this is a community, there is, especially in Bali, or they have a very strong community. Through community, when the community is believed, they can do it very easily from the ground. So even though we are open, I think we are still very careful and understand this is not finished, or so we believe we still need to do the same regulation and as the one where we were still locked down. So the way we work and the way we do thing and we do other thing is we still following the regulation, of course, using masks and practicing social distance and all, but it's not easy to do that, and not everybody believes that they solve the problem especially for the business. Yeah. A lot of people try to not doing that. So there is a challenge, of course. There's always consequences what we do in terms of business effect. So yeah, we do the best we can to continue with this.
All right, thank you. Yes, agreed. Because everything we have to adapt to change, and it's all in terms of the new normal, where everyone has to wear masks for now. At the same time, social distancing is still in curfew because we still don't understand the nature of this pandemic itself because the virus keeps on mutating. So, in hopes that everyone keeps the social distancing in mind, hopefully everything will move on to the better. Alright, moving on to the next questions. Are there any strategies that you started in lockdown that will remain as part of the new normal, Mr. Faizal?
Okay, as for now, I think we just need to wait and see and go with the flow. The most important thing is everybody need to speak from the heart and need to work together, listen to each other, being respectful to each other, try to find solution for the problems, and then we need to come together and figure it out and trying to examine what this is all means for fashion as we emerge, looking at these things and need to believe and be optimistic that we can make it, above this obstacle challenges, inshallah.
Inshallah. Alright, Mr. Dirk, what's your take on this matter? Are there any new normals that you're going to implement into your company?
Yeah, the thing we're doing here right now, online video calls and panels and so on, I don't remember doing this much before COVID-19, but I tell you, I've done a lot of this in the last couple of months. So that's not just in these panels, but also intercompany. Within Moda, we have like all the times online meetings, and if some people, we used to only do physical meetings, and now we do online meetings, or we do a hybrid version. Whoever cannot make it on a certain day dials in or comes in and listens in. So this has been very productive. So we don't have to now work with everybody's schedule, but we can actually do the meetings fast, spontaneously, and get decisions done, which is great. And also then things like I mentioned earlier, like there are some international channels where like Ali, myself, and some other associations of people come together and exchange. This also didn't really happen before. I mean, it would have been possible, but it just did not happen before. And this is something which is now almost every week. So I think that's something very positive, that there's more communication in that sense. And I look forward to continue doing that.
Yes, communication is an open road right now because everyone is online, and it's quite easy because everyone is able to be responsive wherever they are. Right, Mr. Ali, is there any changes that will really remain in your new normal?
Yes, I totally agree with Dirk. Communication, changing the communication is crazy. I think this is probably a positive way during the COVID that we didn't realize how far we can reach and do with the technology before. Because we just busy and doing offline thing. Before the COVID we do, and now we do things differently, and some of them is very, very effective, especially for meeting and coordination and all of this. We can, instead of we have meeting with 6 people, or in one time we can do like 60 or 600 people, something like this, which is we can move faster to solve the problem. And this is, I believe, will continue for the future. And I think I forget to mention something about the decision. We will continue our life, and the decision I make, especially for my company, I decide. It's a crazy thing. On this time, we after all of this happened, and then we decide to have a new brand. We have a new brand that we think is match with the situations that is sustainable fashion, and we do a lot of and this brand is zero waste, a lot of zero waste concept, and less waste, and maybe in the future we do recycle, upcycle, and all. But the most importantly is the product that the public need. So we launch, and for the last few weeks, and we do really well because we think we offer very good quality product with a very affordable price. This is part of the strategy of sustainable fashion, that we cannot overcharge on the product. we all have to offer good product with very reasonable price. And this way, this one, I think, what other brands should do or other people should do, we should do about sustainable in the business and in our lifestyle. I think this is the life that we should continue, keep going after pandemic. You know, we should. This is, I think, is more meaningful than just a business looking for profit. You know. So I hope it's not only in this time, difficult time, people do that, but I hope they will continue do this and develop them even better. Thank you.
Right, thank you. It's amazing the fact that you mentioned sustainable fashion because sustainable fashion has been the way of the future before the pandemic, and to see that you're still actively sharing that notion is quite endearing, actually. Thank you for still fighting the fight of sustainable fashion and zero waste. It's amazing. All right, moving on to our last question. How do you think the fashion industry itself will adapt over the rest of 2020 and in the future itself? Mr. Faizal?
Okay, in my opinion, naturally the scope of changes is difficult to predict. Fashion industry and industry players are likely to rethink their approach and methods. In the future, I think we'll have a different role of ethics, a more humble approach to our dress and our buying behavior. And I think it's vital to be open not just to learning, but also learning how to think differently as we leap into this new decade, which was already going to be incredibly disruptive for the fashion and retail industry. I think COVID-19 is already functioning as an accelerant. It means that your thinking needs to change to keep up and to allow you to find those pockets of opportunity. Disruption of traditional businesses models will produce a new type of businesses and platforms and consumer behaviors. This is definitely an opportunity. Leaning into this inevitable change means leaning into research and learning to upscale yourself digitally, inshallah.
All right, thank you. Mr. Faizal, one more question for you. Fashion curation needs the practical skills which experience gained in staging a live fashion-related exhibition. How fashion curation can make the experience through an online strategy?
Again?
All right, again. Fashion curation needs the practical skills which experience gained in staging a live fashion-related exhibition. How does fashion curation change the experience through an online strategy?
Zharin tak dengar, Zharin. I'm sorry.
Okay, it's okay. We'll just we'll move forward first. Okay.
Okay. That's okay.
It's okay, no worries.
Tak apa, thank you.
Mr. Dirk, how does the fashion industry itself adapt its over the rest of 2020 and in the future?
Well, I think we all want to know the answer to that one. And we all don't know. I mean, the only thing for sure is that there won't be one solution for all. There will be multiple solutions popping up, and some people will adopt these strategies and other this ones. And it will be very interesting to see which are these strategies, and some will be successful and some won't. So I think it's really to be nimble right now. I think that's the most important thing. And to what Ali said earlier, look at what is my brand DNA and what does hence make sense from a brand DNA, what solution, what strategy kind of merges well, does well together, and then give it a try. And don't wait, like we all said, we have to move forward.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ali, what is your take on this notion?
Yes, I actually believe that ecosystem in fashion will be changed. You know, the way we do will be differently. Especially for example, now is the see now by now concept will be much stronger than before. You know, also in the productions wise, we have to do fast production, maybe not overproduce. Good quality product, design that design and product that didn't harm the world. I mean, sustainable fashion will continue and will be more important than before. And also, I think the whole campaign, loving local products, I think this will benefit the industry. For example, we don't import too much product because during the COVID, we learned how to survive alone in our country. In any country, we try to support each other to buy local product. And this one, I think, will continue, and people will understand, or especially consumer, hopefully, will understand this is more important than buying an international product that we don't know who make our own product, And online business, buying online, I think will continue, even though the COVID is finished, hopefully is real finish, But I think with the big changing during the COVID, I think the behavior what we do during the COVID, a lot of them will continue, including like shopping online and learning online, communication. But I still believe only online is not enough. We are human, and I think we need to be. One day we also do things face to face. I think also this one we need to balance. I mean, we don't forget that we are human, so we cannot develop the technology and we forget about us as a human. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, I would like to conclude this session because I felt like we've already answered too far. We started this forum in a very dark note. We went from a very dark place to very hopeful and very light notion that we are all adapting and we are all focusing towards the future. Nothing is for certain, and the fact that everyone is adapting well to it is quite interesting to see that the fashion industry itself is picking up and going on full force to fight this pandemic itself. All right. I would like to thank everyone for your involvement in this seminar, and I really hope that everyone who joined this could at least gain some input on how the fashion industry is evolving and how we are facing everything with a very light headed itself, and we are very, very hopeful for the future to change and adapt. Okay, thank you everyone for joining, and I hope you will support our future sessions, right? To end this with a good note, I hope that everyone is enlightened with this session, and again, thank you for your support. Assalamualaikum and thank you.
Salam.
On a lighter note, for those who would like to take the attendance link, the QR code is on the screen, or you could just click the link on the Google Meet comment section. Sorry. If possible, could we have your feedback on the feedback form so we could better improve ourselves for the future sessions? On behalf of Fashion Department UiTM CHANNNEL, I would like to thank everyone for the support, and thank you again for all these amazing 3 days we had from the 4th until the 6th, all the sessions with all your support. Hopefully, you will have an insight into the world of fashion design and the world of fashion pattern making and everything itself in the industry. And again, thank you. We hope to see you again in the future.